All right. Hey, how's it, everybody? It is right around 5 p.m. West Coast time. I'm going to call it 3 p.m. Hawaii time, 8 p.m. on that there East Coast, and 7 p.m. for our Central Time folk. I am Mad Statter. This is Chatter with Statter, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's maybe midnight in the UK, where I see at least 2 people are in from. I see you there, Baney Bo. Good to see you. It's been a minute. And I thought I saw Terry in Scotland. Yes, I did. Terry in Scotland came in rating with 3 viewers. So, Katie Zora, good to see you. Terry in Scotland, thank you for that raid. Baney Bo, good to see you. Shock, thank you for being here. Let's see here who else we've got. We have got Rick in the house, of course, saying hello to Mad Statter and the Chatterers. And we've got E-Music in the house. Good to see you, E-Music. And let's see here. I think I said Katie's Aura, but I might have made a mistake. So we actually have 3 people in the UK. It's 1 a.m. We've got Katie, we've got Baney, we've got Terry. That is right. I had a busted stream tonight. Couldn't get into GeForce Now. Terry, did my bad luck go on to you? Did you dive deep into my bad luck pool last night, and did you save my stream from the bad luck, and then your stream got covered in it? I think that's maybe what happened. I'm sorry you had to take one for the team there, my friend. Yep. But I'm not surprised to hear that that it happened to you, because mysteriously, exactly, I think you caught the Menehune disease, because here's the deal, Terry. Okay, so actually, I'm going to tell Terry something. Before I do that, though, I'm going to say, hey, Trail Dust, good to see you. I know you don't know what to do with yourself. We've got a few minutes until a Lono listening break, but I'll tell you right now, we're going to have 2 Lono listening breaks. One at the usual time, and then one, boom, at the end. So if you've been here before, you know what one we're going to watch at the very end. And no, it's not the Rudolph one. Although if I'm in a mood, we might sneak in that Rudolph one still as well. So, good to see you, Trail Dust, but what I was about to tell you, Terry, and everybody else who was sort of here last night, trying to be here last night, putting up with being here last night, so not here, but at the other place, during the cinema last night, let's just say we had technical issues. Yeah, we had some issues. And we thought we could fix the issues, but we couldn't fix the issues. So instead of fixing the issues, we just went to Terry's stream, because Terry's stream didn't have any issues until later. But anyway, after we went and watched what we couldn't watch on my stream, on Terry's stream, I just went back to my thing and was like, let me just see if it'll run through the system now. And it did. It was beautiful. It was fine. It had no problem. It wasn't psychedelic. It wasn't choppy. Didn't matter which version I used. It all came through. It was all beautiful. Yeah. Didn't want to be beautiful to be streamed by me. But yeah, you definitely jumped in, got the Menehunes, the technical Menehunes out of my system, and they transferred it to you. I'm sorry. All I can say is I hope you can transfer it to someone else. And Kenny from the Cove, a host, Outervox Cousins. Good to see you, Kenny. All right, let's see here. Yeah, Terry, I was offline, but when I've noticed that even when I'm not offline, if it's gonna come through choppy, it comes through choppy. And it didn't come through choppy. But actually, let's see here. But the issues did have options. Right, just says Darlene. By the way, Darlene, good to see you. And it did work out in the end. Exactly. Well, now, so Terry, you bring up a very good point. Although I think that, you bring up a good question, but I don't think it applies given my previous experience, which is when things are messed up, they're messed up when they run through OBS, regardless of whether or not I'm streaming. However, what we're going to do right now is we're going to get the party started, and we are going to test my theory, because I do have Res Dogs queued up. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but we're going to watch like the first minute and a half of it to see whether or not my theory holds true. Plus, the first minute and a half that we watched over and over again last night, but because it was all messed up, I didn't have a chance to point out something that I did want to point out. So, Yeah, I know. Toward the end of last night, I looked like I wanted to scream or maybe cry. Well, you have to understand, Kenny, I already was having a day and a half yesterday. Like, I was already on my own last nerve. You know how, like, just everything is going wrong and pisses you off? And basically somebody could knock on your door and they'd be like, here's $1 million for you cashed. No one's going to know that you have it. You won't even have to pay taxes on it. And I'd be angry at them because now what am I supposed to do with $1 million cash? Where am I supposed to put this? You know, it's one of those days where you could get given the biggest gift and you're still angry about it somehow. Yeah, it was one of those days. Anyways, what we're going to do, today's not one of those days. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the party started. And then we're going to watch the first minute and a half of Reservation Dogs just to see if my theory's right. And then we're going to go on with the rest of the situation at hand. So let's get the party rolling. All right, there we go. So, by the way, you guys, even though I always think that's Dusty staring at us, it's not. I don't know whose cat that is, but it's a good-looking cat, and Andy Bumatai made that little intro for me, and yeah, okay, that intro is about 3.5 years old. I don't care. I still love that intro, and I love Andy Bumatai. And by the way, January 9th, he's going to come back, 3 p.m. Hawaii time, telling us whatever it is that he needs to tell us. And oh, you did, Terry, post a link to the order on Discord? Awesome. I'm gonna have to honestly, I'm gonna have to check that out, but yeah, the more all right, so Terry in Scotland is talking about a movie called The Order, and it's based on Northwest militia group's actions in the late 70s, early 80s, and I have to say, watching it was a little bit traumatizing to me because I know people who were tangentially involved in those types of activities after The Order was in existence, and it hits brings up a lot of memories that I don't necessarily want to remember, so I'm gonna have to be in the right mood to catch that out. And let's see here. Kenny from the Cove, it's too bad I couldn't send you a naked picture of you in the moment. That would have gotten me laughing. Perhaps, but I will say I did feel much better after hanging out with you guys, despite the trauma of hanging out with you guys, or not really hanging out with you guys. Despite the trauma the stream was, I was in a much better mood afterwards. So, we were trying to watch, here we go. We were trying to watch the season 3, episode 9, missing episode of Reservation Dogs. We eventually got to. Here is the first minute and a half. Let's see if it streams smoothly. Now, before we watch this minute and a half, 2 minutes at most, I want you guys to pay attention to the conversation that they're having when they're walking into the school. Specifically, how someone mentions going to college is a snag fest, and Jackie responds with, if I went to college, I know I would make it a snag fest. And the way Bear responds to that is a very important hint to what we finally see with them later on in the final episode of that series. So let's hope, thank you, Kenny, that even when Tech's against us, you still love me. Yes, well, Rick was just like, I'm out. Rick had enough of it. And honestly, if I could have been Rick, I would have been out too. I was just like, Rick was like, we're done for the night. It's not working. I'm out of here. And it was like, I'm so jealous of you, Rick. I really would love to be out of here too. But okay, you guys, let's watch this. Be sure to watch the interaction between Jackie and Bear if it's not wonky. Hopefully the video won't be psychedelic. Hopefully the audio won't be choppy, because I'm thinking it won't be, just to spite me. So here we go. We're doing this. Boop.
Get me off of this shit. I think it's gonna take time getting
I hope he was fine as fuck. Oh, you think about going to college now? Yeah, maybe.
Bro, you gotta be smart to go to college. Like, besides, like, you gotta come here to learn, not snag.
That's like the only reason to go to college.
I'm going on a snagging spree if I go to college.
You going to college?
It's a joke, dummy.
Yeah, of course it was, bro. Snag spree or whatever. Snagadelic, baby.
Snagaholic.
What?
Bro! What's going on? What? Bitch.
Baddies here. You need to hook me up.
Y'all have an appointment?
They're with me.
Moral support. One of us goes to college, we all go.
That's right.
Okay. Well, y'all can't go in there with her.
Thank you.
Stupid.
All right, so sound was the vaguest bit choppy, but still very audible and workable. No psychedelics. The Menahoonies basically just decided they were bored with me at this point, and yeah, that's the smoothest of the streams. I do admit I did hear a little bit of choppy, but not like it was last night. So yeah, right, I know exactly, Darlene. Now nice and smooth today. Sassy Menahoonies, exactly. So and for the record, I didn't change any settings. We've got a down resolution version waiting in the wings in case, but that wasn't, no, this was literally this exact same stuff we were working with last night. Exactly the same stuff we were working with last night. And Darlene, I'm so glad that Rick did manage to stay. If I were him, I wouldn't. But thank you, Rick, for staying, and thank you for being frustrated for me because, yeah. Yep, exactly. Because, yeah. So let's see here. It is the end of the year these days. And in the end of the year, with the Christmas holidays, people have a tendency to decorate their houses, right? Which is really awesome. I didn't go out looking for holiday houses this year, but it did seem like lots and lots of people were decorating their houses here, more so than last year, at least from just me driving around. But I saw this on this is a reaction video. This has nothing to do with my neighborhood or anywhere near here. All I know is a lot of people have problems with their HOAs, but HOAs are generally neighborhoods that absolutely allow for things like decorating for Christmas. In fact, sometimes they require it. Well, this one gentleman took full advantage of that because apparently his HOA kind of pissed him off. Yes, shock, exactly. HOAs are a pain. And you know that saying, not today, Satan? Well, he, after the HOA, made him take away the chicken coop from his backyard. He said, not today, HOA. And so he has brought an HOA gripe to the next level petty. And his HOA made him remove his wife's beautiful, beautiful chicken coop. Okay, before we do this, let me explain for our out-of-country viewers. And actually, you know what? First off, I apologize. I rail against people using acronyms, and I just did this. An HOA is a homeowners association. And some places like condominiums, where you're in a shared space, you have to have a homeowners association because you have to have a board of people who are, maintaining the landscaping, maintaining the parking lot, maintaining the shared lighting, maintaining the mail room. So, there's shared expenses, and there's, you all need to come together to decide what you're going to do. Well, also within actual neighborhoods, not just apartments or condos, but in actual neighborhoods with individual houses in a neighborhood, especially say a gated community, a community that you have to go through a security checkpoint to get into, which are more common than you would think. They've got homeowners associations, and they decide the rules upon which all of the homes in the area, in the neighborhood, are going to abide by. Some owners associations are so strict that they require your grass to be kept only up to a certain level. After that, if you don't mow it, you get fined. They determine whether or not your house is allowed to be the color it is allowed to be. They determine whether or not you're allowed to have cars parked in your driveway or if they have to be in your garage. They determine whether or not you can have a trailer or an RV on your property. They determine a whole bunch of things. And one of the things this particular homeowners association decided was that they did not allow... Oh, Bainy Bo, I'm glad you find that sounds really silly, Bainy Bo, because I was framing it so it would sound silly, because I hate homeowners associations, and I don't understand why people buy homes in areas that are ruled by them, because not every neighborhood has a homeowners association. Let me just promise you, mine does not. But there are neighborhoods, and they're generally upscale neighborhoods. People who are wealthier prefer homeowners associations usually because it keeps the riffraff up and all of the houses in the neighborhood look nice. But Kenny, exactly. Too many dangerous, sketchy people in my neighborhood for an HOA to rear its ugly head here. Precisely, exactly. And Shock basically is boiling it down. They buy there because they know that their property values will be protected. They don't actually, they don't. And a lot of people don't think that they're going to care about the HOA. But the HOA ends up being can end up being a very overreaching entity that, if your mailbox height is 2 inches too high, you're going to get a fine for it. If you didn't pick up your dog poop quick enough off of your yard and someone reported you, you might get a fine for it, right? And Verity, by the way, I did not say hi to you. Good to see you, Verity. And you have to pay homeowners association dues. So for the privilege of paying this entity money, they get to tell you what you can't do to the property that you purchased yourself. I mean, it seems like a great deal to me, and I'm being so sarcastic. Anyway, this homeowners association... This homeowners association didn't agree with his wife's chicken coop. His wife dreamt of a chicken coop. They had a big yard. She finally thought that they could have a chicken coop. By the way, chicken coops don't have roosters. You don't want roosters in your chicken coop. So this is just chickens, not the ones that wake you up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Just chickens. The homeowners association made them take their chicken coop down. And so they did. And now, because they're allowed to have Christmas lights and holiday displays, and they're encouraged, the bigger the better, this is his holiday display for his house, for the HOA that made him take his chickens away.
This man really said, "Not today, Satan. My wife loves her chickens. You broke her heart. Now I'm gonna break this neighborhood's real estate value." And I know my brother is hot because not only did they dash his wife's grandest harvest moon dreams, they made him take apart her beloved chicken coop with his own hands. Let it be known, HOA, somehow, some way, this man's wife will have her chickens. This This man really said, not today, Satan. My wife loves her chickens. You broke her heart. Now I'm gonna break.
I'm not lying. I'm kind of living for the pettiness here. I mean, which did you want? A chicken coop or a rooster circus at 6 a.m.? It's still dark. The rooster wouldn't have even been awake yet, but they sure are. Yeah, that's right. They probably set their alarm early just to plug that in. Oh yeah, I don't gotta go to work till 10 a.m., baby. I don't normally get to roll out of bed till 8 a.m., but 6 a.m., I gotta turn my rooster on. There you go. And, let's see here. And yeah, Trail Dust, I don't doubt that you're the sketchiest one in your neighborhood. That, yeah, I totally believe that. After all, you do, well, actually, I probably do, because you have the capability of making your own weapons, you blacksmith, you. And, and a shock, you have a kind of voluntary neighborhood association that throws parties and maintains the entrance somehow without collecting money. Yeah, I don't know. That's so strange. Yeah, that's nice that they do that. Hey, Marianne, good to see you. You liked what you tuned into? Yes, it was Revenge on the HOA. And, let's see here. Kenny, good union roosters don't wait for the sunrise before they start sounding off. Actually, unfortunately, I know what you're talking about. Yes, I do. Yeah, we used to have a rooster, not in my neighborhood, but just, well, okay, technically in my neighborhood, but not in my neighborhood. Before the freeway came through the middle of my neighborhood, this used to be one neighborhood, but then the freeway came through the neighborhood, so now it's a neighborhood divided by the freeway. And so I live on one side of the freeway, and then just on the other side of the freeway is a family that keeps a bunch of chickens and roosters. And I can tell you that whenever the headlights, even in the middle of the night, if like someone turns and the headlights go into the chicken coop or wherever the rooster's roosting, he thinks it's morning and he wakes up, even if it's 3 a.m. And no, it's not 99, Andre. 99, is further east and lower on the hill. This is 509. And I'm sure you've driven on 509. If you've left SeaTac, I'm guessing you've driven on 509. But yeah, 509 is what went tearing through my neighborhood back in the day. I don't know what day, because I bought my house long after it happened. And let's see here. And Bainy Bo, yes, actually, I did know what you guys were talking about, because apparently in the UK, this is something that a lot of Americans don't know, and this is something that, even though I know, I still don't understand. But apparently in the UK, if you have a television, you need to have a license for your television. Or rather, your television needs to be licensed. And I'm assuming, although I don't know for certain, every year you need to renew that license, and it costs money. Bainy Bo, Terry, explain or correct whatever it was that I just said, because I'm sure I've gotten it like wrong. But Shock, you're bringing up yeah, exactly. I just tell them to get away and slam the door on them. Okay, so Andre's coming in with, yes, it's the license to pay for the BBC. Shock is asking, is that how they fund the BBC or something? And that ultimately is my question, is what are these licensing fees for? Like, you guys have like commercials? So you guys have commercials on your, most of our television programming is paid for by the commercials that the televisions, that the ad space on the TV shows are what fund the TV shows. But, well, no, right, okay, well, let's see here. Okay, so because what I'm trying to say, Bainy Bo, is we don't need to pay for our TV that comes over the airwaves because that TV is paid for by commercials. You, on the other hand, are saying that you have commercials on your television, but you still have to pay this license even just to watch the TV. And I'm still curious, like, what does this money go to? And Terry in Scotland says it's £200 a year, and the TV licensing enforcers are ruthless. Well, I imagine so, because it sounds like everybody lies to them, you guys, looking in the camera in the direction of people that might be lying to them. But I have to ask, is 200 good for any and all TVs in the house, or is it 200 per TV? Because if it's 200 per TV, that's bull hockey, and that's a new TV every year, practically. And Andre's coming in. I still need to... Okay, so Shock says BBC's website said the license pays for shows and services. Andre says a TV license in the UK is required to watch live TV, including BBC, ITV, Channel 4, and you and Dave pay TV services like Sky, Virgin Media, and ETV live events like football, cricket, news, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so basically watching the TV. You can apply for a TV license online or by phone. The cost is $169.50 for a color TV, or $57 per year for a black and white TV. Okay. If you don't pay your TV license, you could face a fine. The court can also send bailiffs or sheriff officers to your home, take money from your wages or benefits. Verity, it sounds like they're their own version of HOA bills, or yeah, doesn't it? I don't know. And Terry's saying, I knew an Irishman in London who had a TV licensing people in his attic looking for a television. Wait, I'm confused. How did they get into his Terry, how did they get into his attic? I guess is what I had so many thoughts I didn't even know how to formulate my words. How did they get into his attic? Why were they in his attic? Did they sneak into his attic? They have TV detection vans prowling through the neighborhoods. Yeah, I did hear about that. And I've heard people like used to, didn't they used to like wrap the TVs in foil or something to like prevent the detection? Okay, so they ended up having a search warrant to check his attic. Okay. But am I making this up, or did I feel like I remember in the 80s hearing about people wrapping their televisions up or doing something with foil to help block the sensors from finding that they had a TV in their house. And let's see here. Kenny from the Cove, BBC, standing in my living room. Sir, you told us you didn't have a television. Me, it's not a TV. It's a computer monitor. BBC, then where, sir, is the keyboard? Me, looking away, fingers crossed. It's in the repair shop. Yeah. And Mariana, I'm very curious too. Do other countries do this? I have definitely heard of the fact that the UK does it. But I don't know. And when I say the UK, I mean Scotland, England, Northern Ireland, and Wales. I don't mean Ireland. I don't know about Ireland. I certainly don't mean France, because that's not the UK. And Andre, you thought America paid for the BBC through PBS? Oh. I don't know why you would think that, because that's our public broadcasting system. And that's the British Broadcasting Corporation. It used to be the British Broadcasting Company, but now it's a corporation. Oh, it's a joke. You watch so much BBC. Okay, I get it. Especially PBS, right? And, let's see here. Terry objects to BBC Films making co-productions with other film companies, making money for themselves. Well, I wouldn't necessarily object to that, but I would object to the fact that I have to pay the licensing for that. You know, I mean, like, if you're gonna do this, you don't need to do that. Pick one. Can't pick from both. And then Shock has a Wikipedia link for television licensing, but I don't, I'm not going to click on that. But it looks like Andre might have. And so the United Kingdom, Germany, France. Oh, well, what do you know? France. I was talking about France and I didn't even know it. Greece, Ireland. I was talking about Ireland too. Italy, Portugal, Japan, India, and Pakistan all have TV licenses. Well, let's see here. India, Pakistan, UK. Those are all sort of related to the Brits. And then everybody else is like, that's a really good idea. Let's do that. All right. And let's see here. Hold on. The BBC does. Yeah, the BBC does get a ton of play on PBS. Absolutely. Terry in Scotland, if you could see what passes for comedy on the BBC, you would object to paying a license to. Well, I'll tell you what, man. Actually, Terry, you'd be surprised at what passes for comedy on American TV these days, too. I really feel like your standards for comedy are high and good. You have good standards for comedy, and well, a lot of comedians, a lot of comedy, it's just really low grade. It's low grade. I mean, I'm not trying to be a comedy snob, but sometimes I look at what's on TV and it's like, how is this even funny? How is this even a show? How do people even, what? Yeah, but you know, they make money off of it. And let's see here, if they didn't have to pay for the TV police, they wouldn't need licenses. Honestly, Trellis, I kind of have to wonder. I mean, because if the enforcement is as heavy-handed as Baney and Terry make it sound, and actually I do think it probably is heavy-handed that way, because even someone who's never lived in England has known about the TV police and people wrapping their sets in foil to avoid the enforcement. You know, they're heavy-handed. They're everywhere. I mean, how much money can be left over from paying that police force to make the TV shows? Right? How much money can be left over? I guess I'm looking at it from a capitalist perspective, and I don't really understand how their socialist economy works, maybe. I'll be the first to admit there's nuances there. I don't understand how people in Canada can afford to live with the price of things and what they get paid, yet they still do, so there you go. Clearly there's things about economies I don't get. But it seems like if you're going to be paying that many people, wages are a thing. And, let's see here, Shock. I think if they let people skate, nobody would pay, and then they'd have to shut down the BBC, start begathons like we do, or some other method. I don't know. I mean, I can see what you're saying to a degree, but honestly, I'm not so sure. I mean, $225 a year is £200 a year, whatever. That only pays so much, and you still have to pay the wages of the people enforcing it before you even send the money to the BBC. How much money is the BBC really getting from that? And let's see here. Kenny from the Cove telling Terry, as Gary P. Nunn once sang, I'll substantiate the tumor that the English sense of humor is drier than the Texas sand. Yes, indeedly do. And you don't think it's proper for a government agency to run around harassing folks? I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of a huge IRS, a Labor and Industries audit and argument with one of my clients. And, at this point, my cynical attitude is, oh, you sweet summer soul, Terry. The only point of government agencies is to run around harassing folks. That's their whole point in existence, is is to harass the populace. And I know it's a very cynical way of looking at things, but it looks like Andre has a tendency to agree with my cynicism. Isn't that what government agencies are for? Harassment? And yeah, I mean, honestly, Terry, I totally agree with you, but to just hear it put in such plain, stark forms and then knowing the reality, I can't help but get a giggle. And yeah, power equals the ability to harass people. Absolutely. And it totally does, Verity. It sounds like a total shakedown. A total shakedown. And Kenny, good to know that that was Auto Carrot coming in, but honestly, I thought there was some humor in him using the word tumor. And so honestly, I didn't even notice that it wasn't right. So, but there you go. Man. And let's see here. Shuck, I think I'd pay higher taxes to get profit and the insurance companies out of healthcare. When you break down while I agree, Shuck, I can honestly say when you break down the numbers, I think that we end up paying more taxes over here, just in multiple different ways, than they actually do as a collective sense over there. So really, we've got the best of the both worlds. We get to pay more taxes and get to pay more for our healthcare. So I don't really know what you're thinking. We got the best deal. Well, no, Andre, when you think about it, you know, when it comes to taxes, people like to think of the IRS income tax as the arbiter of what your tax rate is, but that's not really true. In Washington State, you also have a 10% retail sales tax on virtually anything you buy, and then you've got your property taxes that you have, and you've got all sorts of levels of taxes for all sorts of different things. If you're a business owner in the state of Washington, you've got business and occupations tax. So, yeah, 10%, Chuck, seriously, yes, 10% sales tax. So you might have an IRS rate of 17.8%, which is way less than, say, the 24% tax rate that England pays. By the way, I'm pulling these numbers out of thin air. But once you calculate for the other taxes that you pay within your system, suddenly you are paying close to a 24% tax rate, and you're getting less for the taxes out of it than the 24% rate that they're getting in England. And so, yeah, I know, Rick, exactly. And Andre coming in with a 20% tax of hard liquor in Washington, absolutely. And obviously these numbers vary from locale to locale, but ultimately when you break it down by locale, there are some places in the US that are paying way more in taxes and getting way less from them than the clutch your pearls high tax rate of the industrialized countries that actually offer healthcare. And Shock, we have a 6.5% state sales tax in the state of Washington. It's 6.5%. But every single city and county or locality has an additional rate on top of that. The lowest tax rate that I can think of currently in the state of Washington runs around 8.7%, and that's in a rural island county. The highest tax rate right now is running around 10.6%. Oddly enough, that's not in Seattle, but it is in King County. So you can literally, and this is another wonderful thing about at least Washington state taxes, if you go 9.5 in California, this is Verity, right? But like if you go to a McDonald's in Seattle and you buy a 99-cent hamburger, and then you literally go 2 blocks away to a different McDonald's that's outside of Seattle, you're going to pay a different amount for that same 99-cent hamburger, because in Seattle, the tax rate is 10.2%, but in unincorporated King County, it's 8.6%. So, yeah. So, when you're doing taxes for like someone who's, say, a plumber who has all of his jobs in all of his different locations, whenever he's writing out his receipt for his customer, he actually has to calculate the tax based on where the job is. not based on where his business is located. And and it can actually even get more complicated than that when it comes to importing and exporting goods out of the state. I literally have a client whose tax situation is so complicated that the wood is being exported from Brazil into the state of Washington. No, from Brazil into the state of Oregon, and then from Oregon, it's being transported into the state of Washington. Depending upon whether or not the trucking company used to truck the wood from Oregon to Washington, if the trucking company that they use is based out of Oregon and they ship it into Washington, it's considered an out-of-state sale. But if the company uses a Washington state trucking company to pick up the wood from Oregon and ship it into Washington, it's an in-state sale. So I literally have to know where the trucking company that they used for that purchase is based out of in order to figure out whether or not they need to charge sales tax. And that's how stupid sales tax is here. And no state income tax because of all the tourism income. Yeah, Mariana, a few states are like that. I think Alaska is one of them because of the oil. I think Las Vegas is like that because of their tourism. New Hampshire also doesn't have a state income tax, but their taxes are basically paid via property taxes. And I'm not a fan of that system at all for reasons. But yeah, my point is every state has their own layer of taxes, however it is, which very rarely gets considered when you're talking about your tax rates. And Oregon does not have sales tax, right? I feel like that is mostly right, Andre, but I also feel like there is a vague exception and I don't remember what it is. But there is what's known as use tax. And if you go to if you're from Washington and you go to Oregon to buy something to avoid the sales tax, when you come back in, you're actually supposed to fill out a form and report that purchase and then pay what's known as use tax to the state. Nobody does that though. And, Verdi, you had a friend who went to Nevada, you think, to buy his truck to avoid taxes. Absolutely, yeah. And the state of Washington has a loophole for that. As soon as if he had done that from the state of Washington, drove down and picked it up, and then came back, at the moment he tried to license it in the state of Washington, he would have to pay use tax on it. And the use tax is the equivalent, the retail sales tax equivalent of the blue market value of that car. And let's see here. And that's exactly, Andre. Washington has so many hidden taxes, even with the no income tax, because Washington doesn't have an income tax. So it seems like, oh, what a great tax state to live in. We're actually literally the worst state tax state to live in. Our system is so regressive that the poorest people end up spending the largest percentage of their income on taxes. And so, yeah, it's just mind-boggling. But ultimately, this circles back to what Terry was saying, which is government agencies shouldn't be harassing people. And Andre and I are like, that's all they do. But y'all, that's a cynical way to look at things. And we're about to start the new year, and we need to get a fresh mindset. We need to clear out the negativity. We need to bring back the positivity. And here's Lono to remind us that putting love you need to put love on your list of things to do. All right, let's listen to some Lono. Hey, C Honda, just in time for Lono. Boop.
fight the fight for what is truth as we seek the light. When people gather on this land, you can hear the holy and hear the chants. New holy, 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 holy. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh. They say that it's been done before, and in our prayers we pray for more. God is love and good for you. Write love on a list of things to do. Write love. Yeah, yeah. Wake up in church, spend all day in church, and at the setting sun we go to sleep in church. They say it's a Hawaiian thing. Love Molokai is why we sing. Love Molokai. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh. Just some things that need to be said from the heart, dancing in the head. And if you've heard it, you will benefit. And I thank you for your time, my friend. Ahui ho, 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 ho. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh.
All right, there we go. My goodness, you guys. I stepped away to get a fresh can of water, and suddenly I came back to flurry and hyperness. Thank you guys so flippin' much. Look, that's what Lono does. He brings out the love tax. The love tax. It's a little... Okay, I don't know. No love tax. Bainey, a can of water. Yes, that is correct. Instead of a bottle of water, it's a can of water. It's sparkling water. It's called Liquid Death. It's just plain sparkling water. And but instead of coming in a plastic bottle, it comes in a can. And Bainey Bo, I know it seems weird, doesn't it? The first couple times that I got this, it just seemed so strange to be drinking water from a can. But then I got to thinking, how is it any different than drinking water from a plastic bottle? In fact, isn't it a better idea to drink water from a recyclable thing than a not recyclable thing? And so I still feel weird about drinking canned water, but a lot of people drink bottled water, so I'm drinking canned water. But I totally understand. It's like, wow, that seems weird. It is weird, but it's good. It's good water. It's good water. And Verity, yes, they say they say that greens and black-eyed peas are the first food that you're supposed to eat in the new year. I personally have never had black-eyed peas, and very rarely do I make greens, but I will maybe try it one day. And yeah, shock. Budweiser cans water for distribution in emergencies, and exactly, Verity, there's no forever chemicals in it. Like I said, it's really weird. It is for me, because 30 years of conditioning, water comes in plastic bottles. Period. End of story. That's how water comes, right? Well, I mean, yeah, but why not in a can too? And so there you go. And yes, no micro aluminum. No, Andre, this is how I get my aluminium vitamins. And Terry in Scotland, Tesco doesn't sell canned water, you just checked. Well, but you know what? They might, though. See, because canned water, or they might one day soon, because canned water is getting a huge, it's really popular in the United States. You know the other drink that I drink, the LaCroix, what I call pamplemousse, but pamplemousse, the grapefruit sparkling water. It is also canned water. And so if they've got any kind of sparkling water, you might not be able to find flat water, regular water canned, although Liquid Death does do that too. But I'll bet you that there is, some canned water in Tesco. If you Google sparkling water, I wouldn't be surprised. Then again, you are in Europe, and as Verity pointed out, you might be lucky enough to get glass bottles, but we don't have glass bottles of water here at all. And Baby Bo, yeah, but that's flavored water in a can. But normal water, well, this is unflavored. And it's just, this does have bubbles, Baby Bo. This does have bubbles, but it's unflavored. But Liquid Death also has a can that's just flat water. And Andre says that the flat water is not as good. I don't think I've ever had the flat water in the can, but I prefer sparkling anyway. So, and this plain sparkling water is so flippin' good because it doesn't have the mineral taste of like a Perrier. Because like Perrier and some sparkling waters, when I drink them, I feel more thirsty when I'm done drinking them than I did before I drank them. Whereas this actually is quenching. And I think LaCroix actually also has plain sparkling water. So it's unflavored, but still sparkling. And Picola T, currently watching the Vegas Golden Knights on the ice at the T-Mobile Arena. This island gal is pretty cold. Yeah, I bet you are, Picola T. Glad you can be here, though. Who is it that the Golden Knights are skating against tonight? And Andre, European mineral water sometimes tastes really bad. I totally agree, dude. I totally agree. And hey there, PP Bang, good to talk to you. We were talking about how weird it is to be drinking water from a can. And Terry in Scotland, Tesco has Liquid Death Lime sparkling water. Oddly enough, Terry in Scotland, I don't like a lot of the flavored sparkling waters, but the lime one for Liquid Death is the one that I prefer the most. The lime is definitely, for me, the most drinkable. Well, the most drinkable is the plain, but if I'm gonna have to drink a flavored one, it would be the lime. So give her a whirl one day when you're feeling rich and you want to spend money on water, when you don't really need to spend money on water, but you know. And darn it, says Kenny, you're thirsty now. And let's see here. Rick, you'll have plain H2O in a can, but with hops and barley flavorings. That's basically, you all know, I drink my Pabst Blue Ribbon. I refer to it as Watcher beer. I don't want a beer I can chew. I just want the plain old water beer. And yeah, the mango flavored Beatty Bow, the mango flavored Liquid Death I'm very picky about my mango flavors, and I'm not a fan of how they do mango. But yeah, mango and lime, I think, were their two, their first of the two flavors that they came out with. And let's see here. Pacola Tea, it's intermission on the Jumbotron. Some dude just got on his knees and proposed to his gal. So sweet. Yeah, I hope it's sweet. I hope that she was stoked, because there can't possibly be a bigger nightmare for someone who is gonna say no to get proposed to on a Jumbotron. I mean, you've got this horrible choice, right? It's like, say yes and just get the thing over with, or say no in front of the whole world. But once you've said yeah, I don't know, man. You really need to. I don't know if I would want to be proposed to in such a public space. I'm so glad that everybody's crying and it's a good thing or whatever. But I guess because I'm just emotionally unstable, I have anxiety and fear over what would happen in a circumstance like that. I don't know. I just don't know. And let's see here, Andre. Man, even I had the Liquid Death cider flavor, and the mango is good to me, but I don't like mango, so a mango lover won't like it. Right, there you go. Okay. Andre, first off, Andre, I am very proud of you for trying that mango death water or Liquid Death, because I know how you feel about mango. And I'll tell you right now, you know how I feel about papaya. I don't like it. And I wouldn't be trying a papaya flavored Liquid Death. But here you are hating mango. You try it. You don't mind it. But he then realizes, oh, those who like mango probably won't like this. And let's see here. Molly, Spoons are doing 99 pence pints for the 1st of January. I don't know what Spoons is, but I do know that 99 pence is roughly $1. And $1 for a pint, I'm assuming you mean of beer, is a darn great deal. And I would not... I don't need to go to that. I need to go to that. I don't need to go to that. I need to go to that bar. Yeah, that'd be a great deal, dude. I hope you're going to go there on the 1st. And let's see here. Shock, I would say no on principle. F that. See, I can appreciate that, but really, would you? In front of everyone. In front of everyone. Like, you're going to have the whole entire stadium turn against you. Not him. You. You're going to be enemy. Do you really... first off, I really do agree with you in theory, but in principle, like in the real life world of it, you're stuck with this... You're stuck in this horrible position. And Terry, I can appreciate why if a guy proposed to you, you would have to, on principle, also say no. Let's see here. And I can't decide if it really takes huge coconuts to propose in public or just be nuts. I feel like it's a lot of both, Pacola T. I mean, it just is a lot of both. What if you said no and came out as gay on national TV? You be brave. No, Andre, I don't think that would happen. I think that the public would still turn on her and say, why were you dating him so long that he thought that he could try to marry you? You should have known. Now, I'm not saying that is a healthy way to respond, but I don't think that people would think, oh, how brave this person is. I don't think that that's the initial. I don't think that's going to be the initial response. The public loves a lovey moment, and the one who squashes that dream is gonna be that crowd's, the target of that crowd's ire. And Terry and Scotland, now you bring up a good point. What if she had hairy armpits? True. At which point, I guess the guy should have known she was a lesbian anyway. And by the way, for those of you who are wholly offended by that little interchange that Terry and I just had, it's a reference to a movie that we watched last night called Fry Bread Face and Me. These two kids were trying to figure out what a lesbian is, and one of them explained to the other one, it's when a woman has hairy armpits. It was a very cute interchange. What you might have interpreted as a horrible thing that we just said was actually, it's actually cute. And so yeah, exactly. How could you not feel pressured? And like, even if she wanted to say yes, it's still like, you're putting me in a position where I have to say yes. Even if I wanted to, at this point, I have to, because I don't know what's going to happen if I say no. And Picola T, excellent. Gotta go, gangies. Y'all have a safe and happy new year. Exactly. Love you all. Thank you so much for popping in, even if just for a second. And Chuck, it's extortion. I wouldn't marry a guy who would extort me. I think that that Chuck, any guy who was date you long enough would probably know that proposing to you in such a fashion would be a clear no-go. So I can only assume that, there are someone out there who are so not like me that they would appreciate it, right? I mean, as much as you and I are just like horrified by the idea, then that means there has to be at least two other women out there who are thrilled by the idea, who would be ecstatic for the idea, right? We're just going to pretend those women are out there. We're just going to pretend. And I know, I know, Shock, dudes do sometimes put women on the spot like that, and they think it's fine. That is true. But, I'm just going to pretend like some women would be super stoked because that's what the Hallmark movies told me to think. And let's see here. It's kind of aggressive to put somebody on the spot like that. It kind of forces them to say yes, and that's wrong. Yeah, exactly, Andre. That's exactly it. But if a stranger sat down next to me and proposed on a Jumbotron, okay, I actually, I would take a quick look at his shoes to see if they were expensive. And then I'd say, I'd make a big point of grabbing the ring. Operative word, stranger. Exactly, Darlene. No, exactly. And so at this point, because it's a stranger, and so clearly my answer is not going to be serious. And so what I would do is I'd look at his shoes to make sure that he has good shoes to show that he has a little bit of money. And then I would grab the ring and make a really big point of examining it and pretending like I was a big gold digger. And then depending upon how big the rock was or how shiny the rock was or something along that line, I would then make a big exaggerated like, oh, that's not big enough, or oh, blah, 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 blah. Or I would make a big deal out of turning down the pathetic little ring or something. I would make a joke out of it, but basically I would be acting like, oh, this ring isn't even good enough. How could you blah, blah, blah? And the reason why I would check his shoes first before I would pull that joke on him is because if he had really crummy shoes, then he probably isn't gonna be at all pretend wealthy, and I don't want to make fun of him that way, in which case I don't really know what I would do. But if he looked like he was relatively well off and trying to like impress somebody, which I hope you would try to impress the person you're asking to marry, I would absolutely mock him in whatever way, but I would make it come through the ring being of poor quality and he's not worth my time because the ring wasn't worth it. And I know that's a horrible gold digger thing to do. Obviously I wouldn't do that in real life, but this is a stranger. And so I would need to humiliate him for such an absolute asinine thing to do. And so, so there you go. Or else I would ask him just on the camera, it's like, how much money is in your wallet? How much real estate do you own? And if these answers are acceptable, then I say yes. Or something just so out of line and totally financially gold diggery obvious, is how I would respond to that. And if he had no shoes, then I would just laugh and walk away. And Bernadine, so good to see you. We are talking about a lot of stuff, but apparently there was Pecola T is at a hockey game, and during halftime on the Jumbotron, some dude asked a chick to marry him. She said yes. It was all beautiful. So now we're just sort of hypothesizing, what would you do in that situation? And let's see here. Kenny from the Cove, on the second day that my last girlfriend and I were officially a couple, she told me, I'm not getting married a third time, so don't even ask. Needless to say, I didn't even contemplate applying to be her number 3. Well, honestly, Kenny, that's a little bit brutal the way she broached the subject, without a doubt. But if she really did feel that way, clearly it had nothing to do with you. It was her own decision. I ain't getting married a third time. And if you had those hopes in your life, that in your sights, then it's kind of a good thing she told you. I mean, it's brutal. Not really the nicest way to bring the subject up, but in a way she did do you a favor. I mean, in a very uncomfortable way, but And Bernadine, say, oh hell nah. Yeah, see, that's sort of what we were thinking. Like, I don't really want to be asked to be married in public like that. And so, and let's see here. Everyone I proposed to said yes at Trail Dust. I've only proposed once. Nice. Well, I have to say, I've actually been proposed to 3 times in one weekend. And it was not 3 different guys. And they were, I guess when there comes a point when, you just have to laugh at these men. It's just like you're so desperate. It becomes easy to say no. After, yes, I know, Bernadine. I went home. I went home from that weekend back to college, and I was like, I don't even know. Like, I can't even keep a boyfriend for a month, yet somehow I had 3 different dudes propose to me. I mean, like, seriously, dude, one of them got down on his hands and knees. He had a ring. So, I guess after you've said no as many times as I have in one weekend, it becomes easy. Because honestly, you can't begin to think that they're actually serious. And, Kenny from the Cove, you thought it was kind of putting the cart before the horse kind of moment. Okay, yeah, I wasn't really sure the context in which that conversation came about. But at the same time, if she was firm in like, I ain't never getting married again, so if you've got marriage in your eyes, marriage in your brain, marriage in your sights, we're wasting our time together. So, yeah, there you go. And Andre, you were proposed to. And Darlene, exactly, just because they ask doesn't mean you have to say yes. Precisely. shoot, I've known some people who've been proposed to. It's so weird. Hey, PPP Bang, so good to see you again. I've heard people who are just like, well, you know, if they ask you to marry them and you say no, then clearly you've just broken up. But it's like, what do you mean? I mean, I've heard of a lot of, well, I think, wasn't it Andy Bumatai? He asked his wife to get married like multiple times, and every time she's like, no, 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 no. And finally she was like, fine, I'm pregnant, might as well. So to me it seems like, Bernadine, no, not true. Right, to me it seems like just because they say no doesn't mean that you need to break up with them, you know? I mean, it seems like actually some of the longest marriages come from when women say no, 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 fine. Isn't that how June Carter Cash got married to Johnny Cash? Didn't Johnny Cash ask her to marry him like a quadrillion times, and every time she was like, no, 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 no. Well, I'm stuck with you, so I guess. Let's see here. I was married, and some guy I didn't even know came up to me in a bar, and I was wearing my ring, and he asked me to marry him. Seriously. Exactly, Darlene. The weekend where I had 3 different guys, it was basically 3 different guys, 3 different days, 3 different guys, 3 different parties, 3 different bars, 3 different instances, and yeah, it was so flabbergasting. It's just like, on what planet does this say? Anyway, yeah. And let's see here. If you've ever seen the horror movie The Strangers, you can see what happens when a guy proposes and the girl says no. Well, oh, Kenny, that's so cute. Women are acutely aware of what happens when they say no. Or what might happen when they say no. That's... it's just... We don't need to watch a horror movie for that. We just live our lives. We don't need a movie to remind us just what might be able to happen if we say no. So, yeah. Because that's the problem with being a straight woman, y'all, is we're attracted to the thing that is most likely to kill us. And I'm not trying to be a misandrist here at all, but it is the paradox of being a straight woman. What is most likely to hurt or murder you? A man! What are you attracted to? A man. What is wrong with you? I'm wired like this because I'm a woman. I don't, you know. And so, yeah, it proves that circular orientation is not a choice. Exactly. It totally does. And so... So, you know, if a chick decides that you're safe enough to hang out with, consider it a compliment because we know what's out there. And yes, we know, we are acutely aware, it is not all men. We just don't know which ones it is. And therein lies the rub. But this topic has scattered to a level of potential cynicism that I didn't intend at all, and I hope that we are trying to keep this light and the like, because yeah, you know, that did get a little dark for a second. So what we're gonna do, I know, yeah, I do need the second musical outerlude, but we can do that. That's okay. What I want to do this, but I need to share this, you guys. So this has nothing to do with anything, but this is the cutest thing on the internet that I saw today. Obviously, I did not make this. Yes, I'm stealing this off of the internet, but we are going to spend a little bit of time in dun 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 doggo court. It is up to you and I to decide which doggo is guilty. Names have not been changed nor have been revealed. The suspect, however, will often tell on themselves. Unless they have an accomplice that tries to pin it on them. That's right. So, dun dun dun, doggo court.
Who did this? Who did this?
Who did this? Who?
Who did this?
Who did this? Who did this?
Who did this? Bubba, was this you? Georgia, was this you? Jackal, was it? Yeah, that's what I fucking thought!
Which one of you did this?
Who did this? Who did it?
Who ate the toy?
Who made all this mess? Hugo did it.
Who did this mess? Cody, did you make this mess?
The last one just gets me. The last one just, it's like, you narc! You narc! Yeah, the last one is so funny. I love that one so flippin' much. So I saw that and I was like, oh well, I have to flippin' share this. And yes, here's my kitty. And you might see he's got a big wound on his leg. So don't look at his leg if you don't want to see a wound. But he had an abscess. He got in a really big fight. I think he got in a fight with Leo, but I'm not very sure. And I'm gonna put you down because you're hurting me. But I'm not sure who won, but I do know that all of his wounds are on the front part of his body, which says to me that he at least didn't lose, because the loser always gets injuries on their butt. And yeah, he is looking good. Otherwise, he's definitely gained some weight, which is good. And speaking of gaining weight, you guys, oh my God, is Pussycat here? Because this is all for Pussycat. The reason why I haven't been seeing Leo lately, I suspect, is because I think he's got another house. And the reason why I think he has got another house is because he has turned into a huge chonk, y'all. Now, he has been eating from my food, definitely, but I think he's eating someplace else because I've known Leo for years, and I know what Leo's weight is even during the winter months. I know what Leo's size is. Oh my goodness, he is eating at some place that has higher calorie food, higher carb food. The food that my animals have is a high protein, limited ingredient diet of green pea protein and duck. And whenever I switch them off of that, Ashes starts to gain, the moment there's any kind of carb, overabundance of carb filler in the meal, Ashes starts to just chonk up like nobody's business. Well, Leo has chonked up like nobody's business. So he, now when I say chonked up like nobody's business, I mean, I don't mean he's obese by any stretch, but he used to be a lean, mean street fighting machine, and now he looks like he is a very well-fed, comfortable indoor cat. So, he's not a basketball with legs yet. No, not by any stretch. But he is definitely the thickest I have ever seen him. And so, I do think he's got a secret family, which makes me laugh and makes me happy, because then it shows that he is, you know, he's got all sorts of warm places, way thicker than a Snickers. Yes, he's got all sorts of warm places to live, and that makes me very happy. And also, because I'm not seeing him as often as I used to, it does make me pleased to know that he must be going someplace else, because he's clearly going someplace else. All right, so let's see here. We got 5 minutes left. And, I wanted to, okay. So I wanted to share with you this happiness. So, and I should have done this earlier, you guys. I'm so sorry, I forgot. But in the week that we didn't have Chatter with Statter last Wednesday over Christmas week, etc., something really awesome happened in the Puget Sound, or rather, they realized something happened in the Puget Sound that's really awesome One of the J-pod orcas gave birth to a calf, and so far the calf has been living, seen without being too emaciated. And this particular calf, obviously for all of the reasons, it's a beautiful thing that this calf was born. But as Shock just pointed out, if you remember in 2017, there was an orca who had her calf. The calf did not survive, and she carried that calf with her for weeks upon weeks upon weeks. The dead baby, she carried it on her head 17 days before it just disintegrated into the ocean. And that mother is the mother of this new calf. And so, Andre, thank you so much for the biddies. And so this is a little news story about it. And by the way, you guys, I've used this news source before, and I really would like to clarify and clarify. This is a Fox News tidbit. This is my local Fox affiliate. This is not the Fox net, cable news. My local Fox affiliate is a very different animal than what you guys think of and what the nation knows of from Fox News. This is just the local news by the station that happens to run Fox television programming. This isn't Fox News. In fact, this particular Channel 13 is really good about doing hyper-local stuff. It's not like when you see like, oh, she got this off of Fox? What is she watching? It's not that, okay? It's not that. And thank you, Andre. Local Fox stations are different. You've got one too, the local one, right? So it's different, just okay? Anyway, so here is the news story about the situation at hand. And so after that, okay, we're gonna run a little bit long, whatever. All right, let's do it.
Record chum salmon runs are a positive. Areas that saw the fish essentially disappear are seeing turnaround. So why are we losing more southern resident killer whales than we've gained?
2 calves born earlier this year both perished. But as Fox 13's Lauren Donovan reports, an unexpected discovery this past week is bringing a glimmer of hope to Puget Sound.
Of a newborn. A photographer near the Edmonds-Kingston ferry route captured this image of what appears to be a never-before-seen calf traveling with J-Pod. And this little one was spotted with none other than J35, the mother who touched hearts around the world back in 2018.
Right now, the whale community is buzzing. Everyone is really excited, especially because the calf was seen with J35 Tahlequah.
That orca, that name is likely familiar to you. 5 years ago, the mourning mother went on a tour of grief around Puget Sound for 17 days, carrying the dead body of her calf. The tragedy garnered global attention, but it was not Tahlequah's only baby. She's given birth at least 4 times.
We know that she is a successful mother, so that gives us a little bit hope about the survivability of this calf.
That said, Tamara Kelly of Orca Conservancy notes there's a 50% mortality rate for calves born to southern resident killer whales.
So even though there is a new calf, that doesn't guarantee it will survive, especially since the last 2 calves that were born this year did not survive, and that was J60 and L128.
In both of these instances, the calves were seen emaciated, passed between multiple females before they passed. Tamara's theory is that the mother of J60 could not nurse, an issue for first-timers, noting the mortality rate of calves born to first-time mothers is even higher due to the toxins stored in their blubber that is offloaded during birth and in nursing.
When they're not getting enough to eat, which is one of the major factors for the southern residents, they're starting to break down their fat storage, which are filled with these chemicals, and that's compromising their immune system, making them sick, and causing the pregnancy failures.
But make no mistake, it's not all bleak on the food front. From creeks to the Columbia River, 2024 saw record-breaking sockeye and chum salmon runs. And the fish aren't just filling their bellies. J27 Blackberry was spotted sporting one as a hat. Kid you not, that is a fashion fad amongst orcas not documented since the late 1980s.
That could be a bright spot, seeing a whale doing that oh, if you're full to the point where you're just going to wear this salmon hat on your head, that's a good sign.
Orca Conservancy says in January, the Center for Whale Research should release its census data, providing information on this potential newest addition to JPOD. Is Tahlequah indeed its mother? But they're also working to collect some less encouraging information, specifically about 2 adult whales they have potentially lost this year. 2 males who are critical components to the southern resident gene pool, keeping it diverse. Now, L85, that is the whale you see right here up at the top with the rainbow over it. This one mysteriously disappeared, and this past summer, the center confirmed him dead. But they have yet to make a call on this whale down below. That is K26 Lobo, who's not been seen since last July. If he passes away, KPOD will be down to only 14 members.
All right, so, yeah, Darlene, I think so too. I think that the news is a little bit hopeful. Like we've already discussed earlier this year, the salmon are being really well fed this year, so much that they're wearing hats across the board with dam removals and salmon habitat restoration. It seems like 2024 up and down the West Coast is a hugely abundant year for salmon returns, and so hopefully there will be a domino effect up the food chain to help these animals get themselves reestablished, fill their bellies, and ultimately, as that scientist was pointing out, when their bellies are full, they don't have to live off their toxic fat stores. And so the toxins are less likely to be passed on to their children when their bellies are full. That being said, the toxins are still there, and even with full bellies, the risk of the firstborns getting that toxic overload has always been one of the problems within the southern resident community. And despite the fact that 2024 is an abundant salmon year, we're going to need this to continue happening year after year in order for the southern residents to even be survivable, let alone a growing community, because it is just a shrinking community. I have my my concerns and the like, but it is always a beautiful thing to see hope. So now that we are 3 minutes late and we still have one more thing of music to listen to, I want to thank everybody here who was here today. I want to thank everybody here who was here yesterday. I want to thank everybody who is here now and was here this past year for showing up, even if just for 5 minutes. I want to thank my mods, of course, for all the work that you do. You do it quick, you do it fast. Sometimes I don't even see it being done. And obviously, I want to thank everybody here who subscribes, who gives gift subs, who resubs, anybody who gives biddies. I want to thank you so much. And Verity, where are those toxins coming from? The polluted waters in which they're living. Ultimately, and then the toxins build up within food chains. So, you got your little microplastics that the plankton are eating, and then you've got the plankton that have been poisoned by the whatever that the little fish are eating, and then you've got the bigger fish that eat the little fish, then you've got the whales that eat the bigger fish, and then, it just accumulates, but ultimately it's from, the toxins are coming from humans. And yes, Kenny from the Cove, we will be, streaming on Wednesday, January 1st. But what that means, exactly, Verity, like city runoff, precisely, exactly. And actually, Verity, a lot more than just that. For instance, in the Duwamish Waterway, which is where the Green River hits the Puget Sound right outside of the city of Seattle, that whole area was used for about 150 years as major industry, shipbuilding, plane building, lots and lots of toxicness from all that manufacturing has seeped into the water, gone down into the mud and sludge layers. Even though the water itself in that area might look clean, shellfish digging and local fish harvesting from the Duwamish waterway is strictly prohibited. You will poison yourself from what you eat there. So, yeah, they have decommissioned nuclear naval ships in the Puget Sound even to this day. Yes, absolutely. So, so there's a host of city, residential, and industrial waste that make it into the Puget Sound and to basically all of our waterways, not just Puget Sound. And that is the problem with one of many problems. How about a cleanup? Actually, in regards to the Duwamish waterway, I think that they've considered that, but they also realize that by cleaning it up, they're going to stir up more. It'll make it dirtier, I think, is basically what I've been told. It's dirty. But on that note, y'all, I do want to continue my thanks because it is the end of the year and we aren't going to see each other until January 1st. And so to close out the show today, of course, I would like to play Lono Music's Hawaii Aloha so everybody can stand up and hold hands and sway together. And after that, exactly, Darlene, more will be stirred into the water from the sediment, the bottom, exactly. And so, so we will see each other next year. And when I say next year, I really mean like 4 days from now. You know, it's that time of year. And so, and for those of you who don't know, this particular song, not just Lono's version, but all the versions, is played at events in Hawaii at the very end of the event. Sort of like at the beginning of the events here, we play the Star Spangled Banner. Well, in Hawaii, at the end of the event, we play Hawaii Aloha. And so, and generally at that moment, everyone in the stadium stands, holds hands, and sways to the music. And then the event is over. So once this song is done, I'll be closing down the stream. And Darlene, happy 2925 to you too. I'm sure she meant 2025. But you know, if we last till 2925, let's do it, baby. But yes, indeed, January 1st, 2025. Let's hang out together, 5 p.m. West Coast time. And indeed, we are running right around. Andre asked, are we entering our 4th year here at Chatter with Statter? We are right around 3.5 years at this mark, so we are for sure in the middle of our 4th year here at Chatter with Statter. And closing out the year is our friend Lono for our second Lono listening break, Hawaii Aloha. Thank you so much, you guys, and well, see you next year.